Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Foresight TV. I've got my friend John Zeisel. We first met through our friend Faith Ott. He is one of the, I don't even know if I like the word pioneer because pioneer sort of suggests that you used to do it and don't do it anymore. But so he's one of the leading voices with Alzheimer's and how to create great lives. We're going to talk a lot more about that. But before we get started in that conversation, this. Hey guys, Steve Moran here. John, welcome. You and I have a long history, probably 10 plus years now. We served on Abe's garden board together. We knew each other before that. We continue to talk. You are one of the most amazing human beings that I have ever met in my life. You know more about Alzheimer's and dementia care than just about anybody I know. And so I'd like to have you just talk a little bit about your history and your passion for aging and dementia care, and then we'll go from there.
Well, a lot of my thinking recently, Steve, and first of all, thanks for being such a fan. It's mutual. The big thing that's happening in my life now is realizing that there's nothing new. There's nothing new in dementia care. There's nothing new in memory care. And you might say, what do you mean by that? Because, here I am, so, also a pioneer in a sense. And the answer is we've been doing this, Faith, Aunt, and I, and you've been promoting it, and many, many other people in the field have been promoting ways to overcome the stigma, overcome the despair that everybody joins the dementia journey with, whether they're care partners or people living with a disease and living with a condition. And really, it's time for us to take advantage of all of the work that other people have done, whether it be time slips, whether it be Carpe Diem, whether it be Montessori, all of those programs, all of which I endorse and put under the umbrella of I'm Still Here. All of them are bringing people back to life and acknowledging that they're still very much part of the life that they have.
Okay, so let's talk. One of the things that I have observed as I look at dementia care in senior living is that every company, every expert has their own way. And they're all sort of convinced that they're right, and everybody else is, if not wrong, at least less right. And so it doesn't seem like it actually doesn't seem like you sort of talk like where everybody knows, but it actually doesn't seem like there's a great deal of agreement about how things should be done.
Well, that's a very good point. And number one, a lot of people are out there selling their own product. And when you sell your own product, you have to say, look at me, I got a product that nobody else has. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the product that I have is what everybody else is doing as well. And what everybody else in this field who's a leader in the field is doing. And what we need to do is explode it so that not only are the few experts are doing, and when people say they've got the way to do it and others don't, it's all the same anyway. It's giving people dignity. It's talking to people that with living with dementia as if they exist, as if they have opinions. It's asking them to be involved in creativity. It's asking them to listen to people with dementia rather than talk at them. So all of those programs end up doing this. The problem is that many, many people, care partners, people in business, they don't really believe it. They say, look, these guys don't exist. Let's just warehouse them together and make sure they get their pills, they get their food, they get, the objectives and the the goals of many of the people who are providing the care are way lower than they can be, and they can be much higher.
So I think one of the things that maybe contributes to the problem is that, and this is something that I intellectually knew, but I'm now experienced on a daily basis with my stepfather, is that when something bad happens to my stepfather, he has no recollection the next day. I'll give you a couple examples. I'm going to write about. I've written about some of this. I've got a little bit more to write about. But a couple weeks ago, he fell, and he fell in his bedroom in the middle of the night. He was what's that? He was coming back to coming from the bathroom. Wasn't hurt, but he couldn't get up. And my dogs barked and woke me up because they apparently heard him. I got back in there. We were able to rig a seat. He could get him partially up, and then I could get him the rest of the way to bed. And he went off to bed, and everything was fine. Morning, he had no recollection of it. So it becomes easy to sort of say, well, it doesn't really matter how I treat them. They don't remember anyway. What do you think?
Well, but look, there are times that I engage in activities, whether it be a party late at night or whether it be, and the next day, I don't remember the details, but I remember whether I had a good time or I didn't have a good time. Okay. I don't remember necessarily that. And so having two things. One is, this is very important. It's not only having a good time. It's not only saying, oh, I better fix things, because just fun is okay. Many of the programs out there are geared towards having people having fun. And for example, our work now realizes, and in the product we call Connect, it's a platform to engage people. It's not just fun. It's evidence-based to demonstrate that it gets people engaged, that it brings people, makes them feel more like themselves. Asking people, listening to people, asking their advice, asking their perception is something that people living with dementia remember. Do they remember the exact question that they were asked? No. But do they remember that they were treated with dignity? Do they remember that they were treated as people, and that all of their capacities were used, and they weren't challenged to use capacities they don't have? All of those are part of, as I said, all of the stew that everybody else and I promote to give people a sense of themselves wherever they are in this journey.
So I really like this a lot. You and I had a conversation a few months ago, maybe a few weeks ago, about my stepfather. And, I don't know, diagnostically, a few months ago, a neurologist called him as early to middle. I'm thinking he's middle to maybe starting into the late phase if I were just sort of assess it. But one of the things I told you is that we feel very fortunate because we know for a lot of people who do dementia care, there's a lot of anger and hostility. Yep. And we're not really experiencing that. And I just sort of felt like we were luck of the draw. You had a different perspective on it. You remember what it was?
I sure do. I said, it's because of you. I said, if people challenge the person, if people say, you mean you don't remember that you fell in the bathroom yesterday? Or, here's what you got to eat. And they say, but I don't like, apple pie. And you go, but you've always liked apple pie. That gets people angry. It gets people upset. And there's absolutely no reason not to listen to the message that the person is giving out. If somebody uses terms or connecting words, like I do sometimes, that don't make sense to you, what they're feeling. If they're feeling upset, if they're feeling angry, if they're feeling hurt. And that's whether it's with people living with dementia or whether it's between you and me. If you and I are talking and I see that you're not feeling well or you're angry about something or upset, I'm not going to pick on the words you use. I'm going to say, hey, Steve, you seem really upset about this. And that's what we have to do with people living with dementia. Acknowledge who they are, acknowledge their feelings.
Okay, so you're going to help me out. We're going to do a little bit of helping Steve Moran with his dementia caregiver journey. one of the things with my stepfather is that he was a football player, sort of a tough guy. He was always taught to not express his feelings, and so I'll see him very agitated and frustrated. And I'll walk in and I'll go, "Hey, Gary, what's going on? What's wrong?" Nothing. What do I do with that?
Well, you don't ask that question.
Okay, help me out here.
You say, "Hey, Gary, let's look at that award you won for being the best linebacker on the team." Or you say, "Gary, I've been thinking about football. It's the beginning of football season. What teams are we going to watch this season?" Or you're in California, right? So you might be picking the San
49ers.
Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
So you might say the 49ers are doing really well today. Why say, "How are you feeling?" Because he has difficulty expressing those feelings. So don't ask him.
Okay, that's super helpful. So one of the other things I want to talk a little bit about is I've sort of accepted the kind of the industry norm, the industry standard that you create memory care units, you lock them up to, I guess the theory is you're locking them to keep residents in. Stepfather was in memory care for about 3 weeks as a transitional phase.
Yes.
Oh man, I got to tell you, I hated the lock thing. It was a hassle for me as a family member. It meant I had to get somebody to come get me to get in, to get out. It was sterile and different. It wasn't the same as the rest of the building. It was like, more hospital or nursing home-ish. The rooms were more sterile. Thoughts on, and I have come to really despise the concept of having locked units. Thoughts on that?
You just did something which I agree with completely, which is you put under locked units the fact that it wasn't as nice looking, the fact that there weren't many engagements going on, the fact, in other words, by locked unit, we're referring to a very specific way that many of these organizations are providing so-called care, and it's not caring. And what we need to do, you deserve better than you saw. You deserve to see your father-in-law it's your father-in-law, right?
Stepfather.
Yeah. It's you deserve to see him engaged and talking about football or walking around a garden or being asked, "How do you feel about going to the mountains or the seaside for vacation?" Those are the kind of things, by the way, I'm peddling a little bit. That's what we have in this Connect platform, namely questions and visual presentations so that people can get engaged with what they think and what they feel. What I think is missing in the industry is not your indignation and not your complaining, but doing something about it. You deserve more. Everybody who has anybody in memory care residences deserves to have the support that comes from their loved ones being treated with dignity, with respect, asking questions, not warehouse.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what's missing. And I think it's a movement.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've come to realize over the last, so we've been, his sort of acute phase where he can't drive, where things are really confusing, where he needs really more direction has been, I don't know, the last probably 10 or 12 months where the need's gotten significantly worse. And as you know, because I've talked to you about it in private, so much guilt. And the guilt mostly revolves around, I don't know whether I'm doing it right, whether I'm doing what's best for him. It's really been very confusing. Well, I will tell you that over the last few months, as I've spent more time thinking about this, more time looking at how senior living communities operate, how dementia components and standalone dementia operate, I've actually had a big flip. I sit back and say, holy crap, we're doing a great job. We're doing better than he'd probably get. Doesn't mean we have to get it 100% right. And there's not exactly 100% right, but it doesn't feel like there's great resources to know what right means and looks like. And of course, the other part is that it's my nature. I don't get, I'm maybe to a fault. Not much really upsets me. It's much harder for my wife when he does those behavioral things, and it's so hard for her to not react. And so, how do we help people better understand that?
Okay, so this goes to what you deserve. There's 6 or 7 million people living with dementia in this country today, just in this country. That means there's 40 or 50 million people like you who are their children, their children-in-law, their spouses. So we're talking about millions and millions of people. You deserve not only if you hand the care over to somebody, that it's done with dignity, it's done sort of the I'm still here way, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But you also deserve the education. There's no reason that you should not be able to get, and you and the other 50 million people in this country should not be able to have access easily for free for the kind of training, education, knowledge, know-how to solve the problems that you're talking about. We have the answers. And I'm going to say we, meaning collectively, all those people I sort of mentioned. There's habilitation, there's validation, but not as I got the answer, you don't. But we need to start talking about we have the answers, and we have to make those available. It's time that we explode what we know so it's available to everybody. You should not be in the position you're in.
Oh man, I got something I want to talk to you about. I can't do it on air, got to do it afterwards. So I want to actually jump. You're working on some new projects, and I'd like to actually dig into a little bit deeper into some of the things that you're working on right now to make some of this happen.
Well, let me just say the first thing we're doing, we're doing two things. One is through the I'm Still Here Foundation, and we fund every year now, and we're now in the third or fourth year, innovative, interesting programs that use the I'm Still Here principles. And the kinds of programs we have are programs that bring elders with dementia together with children, or that bring writers, authors who are living with dementia into writing programs where they can write, but they need extra help that costs a little bit of extra money. So they need their care partners there. And so we've got funding for programs like that. Let me just see, I have a list here of some of our programs of just this year. So one is this writers workshop of the International Women's Writing Guild, so that these women who would otherwise be sitting at home saying, I can't do this anymore, can do it. Another one is with a very old friend of mine, Gary Glazner, is working on poetry programs that honor Native American elders in the Oneida Nation in Wisconsin. So it brings that to new cultural groups. There's another program where we're supporting where teenagers go to hotels and other places that have celebratory events with lots of flowers. They get the flowers and reuse them to bring them personally to people with dementia at home and other places. So all of these things are building connections. And those are the kind of things that everybody should have available. So we fund them. We then get guidebooks written. I like to write, so I'm do the final guidebooks that say, here's all you have to do. Here's what it costs. Here's how to do it. Here's why it works. Here are the problems you have. So this is one of the things we're doing, which is promoting useful, involved, dignified programs that authentically engage people with dementia and enable them to be themselves. That's number one. Number two, actually, that's three things I'm going to talk about. Number two, we have the Connect app. Connect is, and you can see it on the connection in the connectapp.com. And that is a tablet-based program that individuals can use at home, or groups can use, that connect them up with each other and form connections. And we're now working on a program. We're waiting to hear back from the government on funding to bring people together virtually who live at home on programs, on engagements. And the third thing, which I'm very involved with, is the dementia village movement, which is not having little memory care units, which I managed and from years and years, but 130 people, 130 caregivers, 100 family members. So about 350 to 400 people in a community, all of whom are living together and supporting each other. So, there's lots going on that builds on the I'm Still Here approach from years ago, but also, as I said, all these other approaches. And, in a sense, I'm Still Here has had its effect on the profession. It's had its effect on a certain number of memory care units. We need to explode it so that it has an exponential growth into how we treat each other and how everybody can learn how to do it. So rather than you suffering by yourself, if I can use that term, that you have the support as well as everybody. And it doesn't have to be me. It can be any or all of these people who are running these programs that say, it's just me. It isn't just us. It's all of us together. And we got to work together to make these positive views that reduce the stigma. We got to work together and have a movement. And consumers have got to demand more. Consumers have got, like you, have got to be able to tell whoever their providers are, we want a dignified view from my mother. Do not let me come in and find my mother sitting in front of a television for 5 hours.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 questions. I'm gonna sort of rapid fire that I want. I'll let you pick how to address them. First one is, love to have your thoughts on the guide program, this relatively new program for people with dementia. Second question is this: I come to you. I've come to the realization that I have a loved one, an older loved one who's got cognitive decline, who's got dementia, and I don't know what to do. Where do you tell them to start? And here's the third question. And the third question is this: when you look at senior living operators, what is it that they need to know, that they need to do that they're not doing, or what do they need to stop doing that they have been doing? Okay. I don't know if we can get all of those, but you pick where you want to start.
I'll go really quickly. The GUIDE program is GUIDE. I don't know exactly what G stands for, U stands for, I stands for, D stands for, E stands for, but that's one program, just like the DAWN program where D stands for something, A stands, or I'm Still Here stands for something. So it stand alone, it's not going to solve all the problems we have. Joining together with all the other programs that exist and seeing how we can build on it is going to be an answer. So is the GUIDE program any good? Sure, it's better than nothing, but it would be better if it were cooperatively grouped with all the rest. And if all of us who are leaders in this field, like the creator of GUIDE, who I heard make a presentation the other day, he and we and all the other men and women who are doing this need to work together rather than say, I got the program, it's called GUIDE. I got the program, it's called Fawn. I got the program, it's called Connect. It's all those things.
Got it.
So that's the first one. The second question was, somebody says, what should I do? I've got somebody living with me and it's getting to the point I can't do anything, right?
Yep.
I'll tell you what I would do. And the problem we have is that there's no really easy answer. I've got lots of people who ask me that question. And they say, well, where's a good place? Where's a good I'm Still Here place? Where's a good connected place that I can work with? Now, yes, we have a bunch of residences, different places that are doing vaguely the right thing. What I would do is find a place and walk in the door and say, look, there's these 5 books. There's all this material that tells us what to do. I'm willing to move in here and pay you these thousands of dollars a month if you actually do it. If you actually get trained residents staff, if you actually tell me that, actually do what you say you will do. Because many of the people marketing are going to tell you they do it anyway. They're going to say, oh, well, we engage people all the time. Well, one of our staff recently went to do some research, and he said, it's shocking. It's the bees again. Balloon toss and bingo. Well, that's not engaging. And the third is birthday parties, the 3 Bs. So, if people, we need to raise awareness. And through your program, through what I'm doing, we need to get people to demand what is easily available. People who can either get home care, who can do this right, or can have memory care units that do this right. So whether it's nursing homes, assisted living, home care, or do it yourself, all of these 4 have the access to the knowledge and know-how that I have and you have, and we've got to demand it. We got to have a user movement where we don't say it's okay because my mom can't do it. Your father-in-law deserves better than he gets, and that's why you pulled him out after 3 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that so the last question then becomes, what do you tell senior living operators?
We tell senior living operators, and I know this is going to shock the audience, it doesn't cost more to do the right thing. Now, many people say, well, but the staff, the care partners who are getting paid to do this are not getting paid enough. That's true. If you pay people more, they don't leave. If they don't leave, you save money. Altogether, there are ways to do what I'm talking about and what you deserve and what everybody deserves, without costing more money. It's paying attention. It's paying attention to the needs of those people, and they deserve better. And the problem we have is that most of these memory care units in senior housing are full. So the developers, the owners, the managers say, oh, they're all full. I don't have to do any better. And the answer is because they're full, you need to do better. And the only way they're going to do it is if people like you and me and everybody else who walks through the door says, I'll move in, but I need you to pay people more and to do the arithmetic to show that it doesn't cost more altogether. If you have quality people doing quality programs, and we start this movement, we got to have the movement that explodes what we want and deserve and need. Not only, and this is the last part of that, not only do the people living with dementia deserve it, but the people who are living with dementia, who are you? In other words, the care partners are living with it as well. We all deserve what we know can be done, and we just got to start insisting on it.
Yeah, and I will tell you that we finally come to the point where it's easy for me as as somebody who's providing care at home right now to say, he only needs, at any given time, he only needs a little bit of care. But what I've come to realize is that he only needs a little bit of something 30, 40, 50 times a day. And we can go away for maybe an hour and he's pretty safe, but we can't go away for long periods of time. And so we're finally going to make the transition to senior living because, frankly, it's killing us and it's destroying our life, and it's really hard. And I've learned so much. I mean, it's been really hard. There are times where I'd pull my hair out if I had any left, but I have learned so much. And probably the biggest thing I've learned is we're doing a good job. And we are doing a good job, and it's possible to do a good job. And his capacities are limited. But he's happy, and he's safe, and we're taking care of his medical conditions. And it's an amazing journey, actually.
You're going to get from us from Hopeful Aging a Connect app tablet, and it's called Connect. And what it enables you to do is walk through the door and say, hey, let's look at these pictures, or hey, let's ask these questions. And it gives you some way to engage, and over again, and you don't have to invent it because there's stuff to read, there's stuff to look at, there's questions to ask, and there's like 1,000 1,000 activities on there, and some of them he's going to like. I don't know. So in the beginning, you got to try them out, but you'll be getting in the mail one of these apps, one of these tablets with everything on it, and then we'll talk again. But the main thing is that it's very important for you to say what you just said, and for everybody. There's no guilt. There's no shame. We do the best we can. And caring and caregiving is something, we do the best we can when our kids are 1 month old or 6 months old or however old they are. And eventually they grow up. So we have to do the best we can. We can't do more.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing that I would say, John, is, and then I want to spend a couple of minutes just talking more specifically about what you're working on, how do people connect with you. But the last thing I want to say about that is one of the things that we don't do a very good job in the industry, any place, not just in dementia care, is we don't tell very many stories about our successes. And of course, it's much harder. It's much harder with dementia care because the successes seem so small and, if you will, sometimes even childlike, right? And yet those successes are amazing because they have a huge impact on people. We've got to be talking about, I did this thing and this is what happened in this moment for this person who's got dementia, and it made their day better.
Okay. So let me build on that. It's called the I'm Still Here Foundation, and it's imstillhere.org. And we now, after 3 years, have about 25 to 30 programs that we have paid, supported, given grants for, and we are now in the business of taking, and we ask for data to demonstrate that it has positive effects or whatever effects it has. We're now in the business of actually raising money to write these guidebooks. And those guidebooks are all the positive stories. It's what you can do, how to do it, look at the effect. And our goal is not necessarily to have enough money to keep paying for these programs, but for others to take them over. And for families like yours to read them and say, I'm going to take this to where my mother is living or my father is living or my spouse is living, and say, these are the kind of programs I want here. And the guidebooks are going to say, here's how to begin to do it. And so the purpose of the foundation is, in fact, to tell those positive stories, but to invest, not just to make it up in one at a time, invest in the research and evidence. And by the way, Connect is totally evidence-based after 3 years of National Institutes of Health funding, we need to prove that it works and then give people the tools for taking advantage and demanding that this happens in the places that their loved ones are living.
Terrific. John, we are out of time. This has been great. I can hardly wait to get my tablet. We'll come back and do this again. Be sure and hang on after we're done here, after the sign off, and we'll do a little debrief. And I got a couple of more things I want to talk to you about. Jada, thank you for running things behind the scenes. You make everything happen so much better and easier, from scheduling to just managing the tech to everything. I really, really appreciate that. I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Go out and live great experiences. Go change the world together.